Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu rasulillah, wa ala alihi wa ashabihi wa man sara sabilihi ila yawmiddin, amma ba'd. So in continuing discussing concerning this topic, which is titled Tariq al-Tashri' or Tariq al-Fiqh, that is referred to as the evolution of fiqh, where we're discussing concerning that the development concerning al-fiqh, regarding concerning different stages that it had went through. So the initial stage or the first stage regarding concerning that at the time of the Prophet ﷺ, were concerning that at-Tashri'ah was legislated then. Then it went on to the time of the Sahaba, an extension of the time of the Prophet ﷺ, then at-Tabi'in, and then up until the time of A'immatil al-Arba. So we're discussing, so in our previous session, we have discussed concerning something that relates to the more renown of the A'imma. So we had mentioned that there's many of the A'imma that they were, but after a while, then some of those madhab of the ulama that they remain intact, and others somewhat they faded away to some degree. So of those that still remain until today, we have the madhab of Abu Hanifa, and we discussed something about the life of Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, and also we discussed concerning and that also the madhab, and then we discussed concerning Imam al-Malik rahimahullah, who is the Imam of Al-Medina, and then today, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, that will be continuing discussing concerning Imam al-Shafi rahimahullah, and also Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal, who would be the third and the fourth of those A'imma, that their madhahib al-fiqhiyah, that they still remain up until today. So on this matter, we start with Imam Shafi rahimahullah first. Then as for his name, and also matters pertaining to him, that first regarding concern that it was his name, that is Muhammad ibn Idris ibn al-Abbas ibn Uthman ibn Shafi al-Qurashi al-Mutallabi Hijazi al-Makki. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that his name Muhammad ibn Idris ibn al-Abbas ibn Uthman ibn Shafi al-Qurashi al-Mutallabi al-Hijazi al-Makki, and that is referred to, that is kunya, it is Abu Abdullah as being his kunya, and that Imam. So as for concerning that, and his family tree goes back to that of Abdul Manaf. So his family tree, it goes back where it meets with the Prophet Islam in one of his more distant relative, which is Abdul Manaf, or distant grandparents. Then as for Imam Shafi rahimahullah, so he referred to more concerning as Imam al-Shafi. So referred to as Imam al-Shafi, which one of his ancestors, whose name was, as mentioned, Uthman ibn Shafi. Then as for his wilada, as for his birth, then he was born in the city of Gaza, or some mention Khil, Asqalan, or Bil Asqalan, and those two places are areas that are in Bayt al-Maqdis, so they're in concerning what is called Palestine today. So they're in the area of Palestine today, where Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he was born. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, so he grew up around concerning Bayt al-Maqdis, within that area that he was born. Then he was trapped, then they moved, his family, they moved to Mecca, so he was taken to Al-Mecca when it is mentioned that he was only Sanatain, only at the age of 2. So when he was at the age of 2, then he and his family, that they moved to Mecca. And eventually that, and then I will discuss then eventually regarding that Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he died eventually at the place of his death was in Misr, Egypt. So he was born in Bayt al-Maqdis in Palestine, then moved to Mecca, and then after eventually his place of rest is in Misr, Egypt, where kind of concerned that that it mentioned that his wiladat, that was the year 150 Hijri. So he was born the year 150 al-Hijri, and that was the year that Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah, that he died. So the year that Abu Hanifa rahimahullah died was the year that Imam Shafi rahimahullah was born. And Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he died the year 204, so 204 al-Hijri. So he lived just over 50 years. As for Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he mentioned that as for one of his ancestors, that he accepted Islam Yawm al-Badr. So accepted Islam, Yawm al-Badr, that his ancestor that accepted Islam, that on Yawm al-Badr, that he went out against the Muslim, but then eventually accepted Islam on that day. So he went out to fight against the Muslim, but then accepted Islam, and he was of those characters concerning the Raya, Bani Hashim. So he was involved in that battle of Badr, but then from there he accepted Islam. Then he mentioned regarding concerning next matter concerning Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that mentioned concerning that his fiqh was ilm. Imam Shafi rahimahullah regarding his level of knowledge, that it is stated by Ahmed Shakir. So Ahmed Muhammad Shakir, one of the ulama of contemporary times who have done many works regarding tahqiq, one of the judges of Egypt, and also of those who have works in hadith and checking books of the ulama of the books of hadith and the likes, that also of the book that he worked on was a book called Al-Risala by Imam Ash-Shafi rahimahullah. So when he mentioned, or when he did the checking of this book and his notes on this book, he mentioned where he stated, "Law jaza lil alim and yuqallid alim," that is not if it was permissible, for if it was allowed, if in a case it was allowed for an alim to make taqleed, to blind follow another alim, lakana awla nas indi an yuqallid. He said, as for me, the one that I'll think that is most appropriate, that the people should follow, so the one that I think that the people, that is deserving to be followed by the people, he mentioned Ash-Shafi'i. He mentioned Imam Ash-Shafi'i. He mentioned فَإِنِّي أَعْتَقَدْ. Then he mentions, I believe, غَيْرَ غَالٍ وَلَا مُصْرِفٍ, that's not going over the top, regarding Imam Shafi rahimahullah, أن هذا رجل لم يظهر مثله في العلماء الإسلام في فقه ولا حديث, to the end of his statement. So he kind of somewhat mentioned regarding concern that as for what he saw, that he believed that that Imam Shafi, that is no one that he have seen amongst the ulama like Imam Shafi regarding concerning his level of understanding of the book and the sunnah. So that's concerning Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that they mention that as a young boy that he shows sign of being a person was very sharp and intelligent. So from a child that shows his level of intelligence regarding Imam Shafi rahimahullah. So regarding matters concerning that Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that that mentioned he used to go to school, as that he grew up as a fakir, as a person was from a poor family, so from a humble family background. Then he used to go to school. Then he used to sit, and when the teacher used to teach a student, that Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he would hear what the teacher says, and he could repeat it, and then start teaching the students that were there from what he heard from the teacher. So he picked up things very fast until the teacher. So he picked up things very fast, where he picked up what was being taught by the teacher very quickly. Was his aid that he was able to teach, and the teacher he believed that he was skilled enough that he could have taught those other students. So he was a very sharp student from a child, that he memorized the Quran at the age of 9 sineen, by the age of 9, that he had memorized the Quran. And that Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that completed the Quran while he's in Masjid al-Haram. Then while he was there, that he started to sit with the ulama regarding concerning the halaqat of that was available then. And Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he memorized the book of Muwatta of Imam Malik. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he memorized the book of Imam Malik, that is titled Al-Muwatta, when he was even Ashar Sineen, by the age of 10. So by the age of 10, that he had memorized the book of Imam Malik, which is the book of Muwatta. Then he mentioned that to show concerning his level of intelligence and sharpness, that Imam Shafi rahimahullah mentioned after وَهُوَ إِبْنَ 15 سَنَةً, that he was at the age of 15, that he was allowed to give fatwa. So at the age of 15, he was giving a fatwa with the permission of his shuyukhs. It was said that he was then 18. So you have a difference in the ulama regarding was it between the age of 18. Some mention 18, that he was by then allowed to give fatwa. And this was by way of start giving fatwa by way of his permission of his shuyukh. So he mentions فَقَدْ أَدْنَ لَهُ شَيْخُهُ, that of his shuyukh that gave him permission, Muslim bin Khalid. So Muslim bin Khalid that gave him permission regarding al-fatwa at that very young age. So it shows regarding giving fatwa, that is something a person have to be very mindful of the seriousness of this matter. that and a person doesn't give fatwa, the person is qualified, and also the person that part of the qualification, or the person who give fatwa, that also that he has some form of recommendation from his shuyukh. So recommendation from others that is suitable to give a fatwa. As for a person that's put himself forward without any form of recommendation from others, then it's something which is one should be very careful of this. One should be very careful of putting oneself forward without recommendation from others, of the people of their shuyukh, and others either tulab al-ilm that know of their affairs. Then it mentioned regarding concerning Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah that amongst his shuyukh there are many. So regarding concerning his shuyukhs, of those one that Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, that he took of knowledge from the people of Al-Hijaz, as he was in Mecca, around that area concerning Hijaz, and amongst them concerning Muslim ibn Khalid. So I'd mentioned regarding the one who gave him allowance, or gave him permission to give fatwa, Muslim ibn Khalid, amongst his shuyukh. And also of them that also he traveled and sat with Imam Malik. So Imam Malik rahimahullah was the Imam was then in Medina. So Imam Shafi'i rahimahullah, that he had traveled to sit with Imam Malik in Medina, and he spent some time with him. Where he read upon him Muwatta. So he read upon him Muwatta. Then it mentioned فقال له Imam Malik, that Imam Malik rahimahullah, when he saw this young boy regarding his level of sharpness and quickness, regarding concerning his intelligence, that he mentioned ittaqillah, that you should fear. So Imam Malik rahimahullah advising Imam Shafi by mentioning ittaqillah. So as a young person, he was given advice regarding what he saw, the sign that he saw upon this person, and what he hoped that this person was able to flourish into the future. Mentioned ittaqillah, fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wajtanib al-ma'asi, and that you should avoid ma'asi, فَإِنَّهُ سَيَكُونَ لَكَ شَأْنٌ, because I see that you're a person that you're going to have some type of status. You're going to have some type of status. So it showed that Imam Malik rahimahullah that advised Imam Shafi rahimahullah regarding that matter, that for him, so regarding concerning at-taqwa, to have taqwa for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and also wajtanib al-ma'asi, that for you to avoid ma'asi. So regarding concerning the Muslim, the person, the teacher, that he should be mindful regarding ma'asi, and that he is fearful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then they mention that also Imam Shafi rahimahullah also traveled ila Iraq, and also he kind of somewhat had debates or discussion with Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, of the students of Imam Abu Hanifa. So Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, Imam Shafi rahimahullah met him, and they had some discussion. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, he settled in Iraq he was in Iraq, so traveled various places. So he kind of somewhat tried to go to different places where he studied concerning al-hadith wal-fiqh. So as for his students, that also concerning of his students of Imam that he mentioned concerning. So also had many students concerning, amongst those students regarding Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Abu Thawr, Al-Hassan ibn Ali, and also Al-Harith ibn Shurih. So different students they had. So Imam Malik rahimahullah, Imam Shafi rahimahullah also had many students. So also regarding concerning the madhab regarding Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that of those things regarding his madhab, so of those things that the principle that he followed regarding is usul, regarding concerning of how to extract and to understand concerning the book and the sunnah, that or masail related to fiqh, that of those principles that he followed regarding Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he took concerning that, so he has an usul that he followed. So of those usul that he followed regarding concerning that, he gave a lot of emphasis regarding an-nas, regarding al-kitab wa sunnah. So regarding concerning Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that regarding concerning an-nas, regarding al-kitab wa sunnah, that he stuck to those two as of his primary sources. Regarding matters regarding his usul, and also regarding concerning Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that of those things they mentioned regarding him. So of those things that they mentioned regarding Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he was initially upon the madhab of Imam Malik. So initially, in his early days, or that he was on the madhab of Imam Malik, as he sat with Imam Malik and memorized his book Muwatta, and spent time with him, then as he traveled to other places, then he started to come in contact with other of the ulama in different lands. So as he traveled, then he started to come into contact with other of the ulama and sat to them and benefit from them. So some of his views somewhat, as they mentioned, so that had then also a profound impact on him by hearing concerning the views of others of the ulama regarding different masail. So with this, Imam Malik rahimahullah, then he started to author some books. So he have wrote certain books while he was in Iraq. Of those what they mentioned, Al-Hujjah. So he wrote a book called Al-Hujjah while he was in Iraq. And that book, they said that book is referred to like that kind of somewhat it holds that he mentioned some of his views while he was in Iraq. Some of those views that he held while he was in Iraq. They mentioned that some of those views are said to be of his the old views. Then some of those views that when then he traveled after leaving Iraq, then he went to Misr. Then he went also to Misr, to Egypt, where he was in Egypt. And in Egypt, that he then authored certain books, and also he changed some of his views. So they mentioned in Misr that he started writing the book of what called Al-Umm, so Kitab Al-Umm by Imam Shafi rahimahullah, was written while he was in Misr. And that book, Al-Umm, that he may have certain views that may be different from what he held before and mentioned in Kitab Al-Hujjah. So change of certain views and certain position, well, that does occur. So you find that an alim, that you might find rare, you might find one alim that with all of his travels and years, that he's upon the same view from the time that he started his journey concerning ilm up until the time that he died. Rarely you might find it with any person. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, they mention at times, they refer to consider some of his views, we consider that some of his views, which is his madhab al-qadim, some view that he had that was the old views that he held. Then he mentioned al-madhab al-jadid, certain views that he did change, which those views are kept in the book Al-Umm. Then also regarding Imam Malik rahimahullah, that they mention also that while he was in Iraq, also he started writing the book Al-Risala. So he wrote the book Al-Risala, that's considered to be that book is said to be the first of those books regarding usul al-fiqh that have reached us today. So regarding concerning a book specific to the science of usul al-fiqh, that refers as usul al-fiqh, which concerning usul, concerning that book is regarding concerning usul as how to understand the Quran, the Sunnah. So the books of old regarding what is referred to as the books of usul al-fiqh, that the ulama more so write, that he mentioned the book of Risala, where it covers concerning how to go about understanding properly with certain strict, clear guidelines, the Quran, the Sunnah. That would include concerning, so that is a book that give a person a system and a methodology regarding how to go about understanding the Quran, the Sunnah, and the texts of Islam. So, and what are considered to be text or sources that a person can use that are reliable. So that's concerning the book, which is Al-Risala, that became the book regarding referred to as the ilm of usul al-fiqh, how to understand and to extract ruling from text. So those are those work that was written by Imam Shafi rahimahullah during his journey while he was in Iraq, and also when he went to Al-Misr. So as for concern that that Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he was very he mentioned regarding of his usul that he mentioned ليس لأحد أبدا, that everything that he mentioned, it is not upon a person for, at any point أن يقول في شيء هل ولا حرام إلا من جهة العلم, that a person not to speak about anything regarding something being hal, being permissible, or haram, or something being haram, except the person say so, the person speak based upon ilm, that a person is speaking based upon ilm. So that's concern of those things that he can somewhat emphasize, that when a person speak on matters, they should be based upon ilm, not based upon ignorance. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that kind of somewhat he mentioned regarding that, that the Quran and the Sunnah are the primary sources. The primary sources are the Quran and the Sunnah, to the extent that he believed concerning bil Quran and Sunnah bidhahiriha, that to take from the Quran, but which is apparent from the Quran and the Sunnah, except there's something to say otherwise. So the person take to the meaning that is apparent from the Quran and from the Sunnah, unless there's another text to say that apparent meaning is not what is intended. So he was more on that line regarding taking directly from the Quran and from the Sunnah as to their apparent meaning. Also of those things that as like everyone concerning al-ijma, and also so of those things that he owed to regarding concerning also regarding khabar ahad, that he kind of somewhat old to, didn't make a difference regarding matters regarding khabar ahad, regarding a hadith. So as long as the hadith is authentic, then he accepts it. If the hadith is authentic, then he accepts it. And also Imam Malik, Imam Shafi rahimahullah, also in his book Al-Risala, that can somewhat explain certain masahil that relates to ilm al-hadith. So also discuss certain matters regarding ilm al-hadith. So based upon that he was of those regarding that regarding concerning matter taken of hadith. So as for the matter of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, of those things that they discuss that regarding concerning this matter, that also that he owes to, taken from the author of the Salaf, so also from the aqwal of the Sahaba and the likes, al-qiyas, in the time of the darura, in the time of necessity. So he all concerned that qiyas can be used in a time of there's a need. So if there's no clear text or ijma and the likes, then a person can refer to qiyas and use qiyas based upon there's no other text, clear text on that matter. So Imam Malik Imam Shafi rahimahullah, as mentioned, والحاصل أن المصير إلى الرأي يكون عند فقط النص. That's of those things that he kind of somewhat of his principle he follows, that a person stick to the text and do not go to al-rahi, ijtihad, unless there's no text. So there's no text, then a person then can use of those other sources regarding al-rahi. They mentioned al-qiyas in the durura. So of those things that he mentioned, al-qiyas in the durura, that qiyas is applied when there's out of necessity. So showing that it's something that can be used, but with guidelines, in case of there's nothing else that is there. As for the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, of those madhab that also spread widely, of those madhahib or madhab that spread widely. So of his usul, somewhat was already established while he was alive, as he wrote books in usul al-fiqh, al-risala, and also had other books that contain some of his views, and also the book of also have hadith. So you find that you find a hadith that is also in that book of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, and also some of his opinions, and matters. So as for those places concerned, you find that the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimahullah have somewhat become widespread amongst the madhab. So you find that place that in places like you find that also the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that in early days that also was present in Hind. So in those areas, they was present, and you find that a long discussion between the Shafi'i and the Maliki. So you find as the Ahnaf. So at times you might find certain books that are specific about a refutation between the or comparison between the Shafi'iyah and the Hanaf. So you find books that they can somewhat go back and forth or discuss between themselves. So you find books that are particular to those two madhahib or mathaban regarding their differences that they held between themselves. But the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that you'll find that is still present in some Muslim country, in place of Somalia, is still present. Also in parts of Hijaz, it is present. Also the madhab that in Misr, also you find a madhab concerning people of Palestine and the likes. So the madhab in places like Indonesia, Malaysia, then you find that the madhab also present in those areas. So the madhab still present, and their books also still present and unlocked regarding works that relates to the book, the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimahullah. So regarding concern that, so as for the books, as for the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that as we mentioned that you have then the ulama who came after, or who came. So you find the madhab of Shafi that said there that you have of those who were said to be the ulama, that they represent concern the ulama of Iraq. So you have the views of the ulama who represent Iraq, and also the view of those concerning Al-Misr. So you have kind of somewhat that those approach those of the Iraqi approach regarding fiqh al-Shafi'i, and those of the Misriyin, and those of the ones of Misr regarding the approach regarding fiqh al-Shafi'i. So you find that different madaris regarding between them were amongst the Shafi'iyya regarding that of Iraq inclined, and that of the others inclined. So you find regarding of the more prominent names regarding the one that represent the madhab of Iraq, that say of those that they mentioned that minhum al-Hasan bin Muhammad ma'ruf bil Za'farani. So you find that of those who represent concerning the madhab of the Ali Iraq, Za'farani, of his students of old and others. So that's concerning the madhab of the Iraq. Then also you have the madhab of the ones of Misr, or they said Jadid, that concern likes of Al-Muzani, that represent the madhab of the new regarding Ali Iraq. So ومنهم Al-Buwaiti, also of those who represent who's Abu Yaqub, Yusuf ibn Yahya Al-Buwaiti, that also of the kibar, amongst the main of the main of the scholar, or main scholar of the scholars who represent concerning the madhab of the of the Shafi'iyya, written regarding madhab of Shafi'iyya, with the kibar ashab Shafi'iyya. So that's concerning of those two that. So you find that the madhab still is known and is fully established regarding the madhab of the Shafi'iyya. As for like the Tadween recording of the books of Shafi, that would mention that Imam Shafi rahimahullah himself recorded books. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah himself recorded certain books, as we mentioned some of those books before, of those concerning Al-Risala that we have mentioned. So and the book that I refer to as that I mentioned, Kitab Al alladhi jama fihi al-Rabi'a. So of his concerning al-Rabi'a, that kind of somewhat gather the views of Imam Shafi in the book that is referred to then as Al-Um. So the works of Imam Shafi by way of other people though, gathering those the works that came after, which is Rabi'a. Also, yes, so other books that are also within yes, so some other works that are attributed to Imam Shafi rahimahullah. So as for like now the Shafi Fiqh, regarding concerning the books that they ought to be main books that represent the book of the Shafi'iyya. So of those main works of the that for a person to understand concerning the madhab of Imam of the Shafi'iyya, and they refer to as Shafi'iyya, Shawafi' or Shafi'iyya. So those who follow as Shafi'i madhab, that they refer to as the Shawafi' or as Shafi'iyya. So of those works regarding that explain, or books that are said to be credible, reliable books that give an insight into the madhab of Imam Shafi rahimah, or what is said to be madhab al-Shafi'iyya, you have the book of Mukhtasar al-Muzani. So you have the book of Mukhtasar al-Muzani. That book is in print, and that book have been explained. So the book of al-Muzani is one of those works that are the work that of those works that are there, and also you have other works, and then you have the works of concern al-Hawi, Limawardi. So al-Hawi, Limawardi, who's Abu al-Hasan Ali ibn Muhammad ibn Habib Mawardi, that died the year 450. That died the year 450. So the book also a very important book regarding fiqh al-Shafi'iyya. That's a comparative study regarding the madhab al-Shafi'iyya and also others. So you find that the Shafi books, I said, of the like most madhab have many books. So of those books that is said to be renowned in the books of the Shafi'iyya, they have a book that is Al-Um, that's of the views of Shafi'iyya. Then also Inaya Al-Talibin, the Abu Bakr Al-Sayyid Al-Bakri. Inaya, also Asna Al-Matalib, Shar Rawda Al-Talib, by the mention Al-Sheikh Al-Zakariya Al-Ansari Al-Shafi'i, or the mention Sheikh Al-Islam Al-Zakariya Al-Ansari. Also of those books that is said to be of the main other book concerning Nihayat Al-Muhtaj ila Shar Al-Minhaj. And the book Al-Minhaj is by Imam Shafi, by Imam An-Nawawi. So also Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, as well, that will be also of those renowned of the ulama of the Shafi'iyya. And I've written many books regarding Fiqh Shafi'i. So Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, that is views that they stand as a very credible view regarding the madhab of Imam Shafi'i. Even though Imam Nawawi rahimahullah, that he died in his mid-40s. So a person who died in his mid-40s, but his views are considered to be one of the views that are held in high esteem and of a high place in the madhab of Imam Shafi, in the madhab of the Shafi'iyya. So also you have other books that are said concerning that the works of Ghazali, such of them concerning Al-Wajiz, and other works that he has regarding concerning the madhab of the madhab of Ash-Shafi'iyya. So Al-Ghazali have various works regarding Fiqh Ash-Shafi'iyya. Also concerning that you have Tuhfatul Muhtaj by you have the likes of Ibn Mulakkin, also a book. So said that so many books that are there regarding. Also a book that is famous regarding this thought concerning Al-Mughni Al-Muhtaj. Mughni Al-Muhtaj ila Marifati Alafaz Al-Minhaj. So the book of Minhaj, the book by An-Nawawi. So this book is an explanation which is Mughni Al-Muhtaj, which is by Shibrini. So Shibrini Al-Khatib, Shibrini Muhammad Shibrini Al-Khatib. That and also this book is also a famous book in the book of the Shafi'iyya, and also a very prominent book that have been recently printed properly, at a proper attention given the book concerning the mention concerning Al-Fath Al-Aziz, the book Al-Aziz Shar Al-Wajiz. So Aziz Shar Al-Wajiz, or some refer to it as Fath Al-Aziz Shar Al-Wajiz by Al-Rafi'i. So these are the book concerning that, books, some of the books, a few of the books of the madhab of Ash-Shafi'i that are considered to be reliable books regarding the fiqh of Shafi'i. So of the ulama, many of the ulama were somewhat are said to be of the Shafi'iyya fiqh inclined. Nawawi, Ibn Hajar Asqalani, also amongst them Ibn Mulakkin, and these are ulama who have written many works, as Subki. So Izz ibn Abd Salam, so Izz ibn Abd Salam, so Al-Ghazali, Juwayni, Al-Ramli. So you have many of the Zakaria Al-Ansari. So these are scholars that their works are generally, when it comes to the fiqh of the Shafi'iyya, that their works are held in high esteem. Their works are held in high place. So that's concerning some of the works that relates to fiqh al-Shafi'iyya. And there's still many books that can be said regarding concerning the fiqh of al-Shafi'iyya. So of those works that are, you have a book called Nihaya al-Mutlab, and Nihayat al-Mutlab fi Dirayat al-Madhab, and this book is by Al-Ju'a, and this book is by Al-Juwayni. So this book is by, they refer as Imam al-Haramain Abdul Malik ibn Abdullah ibn Yusuf Al-Juwayni. So he has this book that is called Nihayat al-Mutlab fi Dirayat al-Madhab, so explain concerning the madhab of the Shafi'i, and this book goes into many volumes. And also of those famous work regarding concerning Al-Bayan fi Madhab Imam Al-Shafi'i. So a book that's called Al-Bayan fi Madhab Imam Al-Shafi'i. And it's a book that is an explanation, Shar Kitab Al-Muhadhab. So it's a shar of a book called Al-Muhadhab, and this work is the work of Imrani Al-Shafi'i Al-Yamani, one of the ulama of the 5th century. So Imrani Al-Shafi'i Al-Yamani, he died 558 Al-Hijri. So those are books, some of the books of the Fiqh Al-Shafi'iyya that are available and in print. So the book, so you find the like stuff we mentioned. So that's concerning some of the books of the Fiqh of Shafi'iyya. So also regarding concerning of the Mustalahat, that may be more that are used in the amongst the Fuqaha, amongst the Shafi'iyya. So certain type of terminologies that are more specific to the ulama of the Shafi'iyya, that they have to use the word concerning Jadid wal Qadim. So regarding concerning that Imam Shafi, they refer to his Madhab al-Jadid wa Madhab al-Qadim, by way of concerning his view that he held when he was in Iraq, is said to be the old view, and the new views are one that he held in Misr. So the new views are those views that he held in Misr. So initially was in Iraq, then he moved to Misr. So the new views of Imam Shafi are more captured in the Book of So the Book of will capture the views of Imam Shafi rahimahullah when he arrived, or when he moved to settled in Misr. And Muqtasara, so you find that the works of Al-Muzani is also to capture concerning what he was in, his views while he was in Misr. So you have certain words that the Shafi, they use certain word as Qadi. So you find that in every matter, if a particular person is referred to as Al-Qadi. So Al-Qadi, when the word is used Al-Qadi, they mean concerning Al-Qadi. When the Shafi'iyya, they use concerning Al-Qadi, yutlaq Al-Qadi in the Shafi'iyya ala Qadi Ali, ala Qadi Hussein, Ali Hussein ibn Muhammad ibn Ahmed al-Marwazi. So Qadi Ali Hussein ibn Muhammad ibn Ahmed al-Marwazi. So sorry, not Ali, but Hussein. So not Hussein ibn Muhammad, Hussein ibn Muhammad al-Marwazi. Then also they use concerning other istilahat that they use concerning Qadiyan. So like the two Qadi, the two judges. That is intended for Mawardi. So they have those type of Ruyani, Ruyani, and also Ruyani. So Al-Qadiyan, Al-Mawardi, Ruyani are said to be the two Qadiyan. They refer to concerning that Imam Haramain. So they mention concerning Imam Haramain that is used for Al-Juwayni. So used for Al-Juwayni, Abdullah bin Yusuf Juwayni. Also in the Shafi'i they mention concerning Shaykh al-Islam. So in the Shafi'iyah, in their books, they refer to Shaykh al-Islam, that they intend by this Shaykh al-Islam, they mean concerning Zakaria al-Ansari. Zakaria al-Ansari. Al-Shafi, he said to be with them Shaykh al-Islam. So when they use the word generally concerning al-Mukhtasar, they mean Mukhtasar al-Muzani. So when you use the word al-Mukhtasar, they mean Mukhtasar al-Muzani. That he can somewhat summarize from the works of Imam Shafi rahimahullah, from his book, taken from the book Al-Um. So those are some of the words and terminology that they have. And after some of the main A'imma, as we mentioned the name of the main A'imma that we had mentioned, like Al-Nawawi, standard one of the main A'imma in the Madhab of the Shafi'iyah regarding Al-Fiqh, Al-Rafi'i, also Al-Rafi'i, also the same. So those are some of the A'imma of the that represent the Madhab of Al-Shafi rahimahullah. So as concerning those matters that pertain to that particular madhab of Imam Al-Shafi rahimahullah. So instead of so as for the next, that's concerning Imam Shafi rahimahullah. So we'll continue, move on and discuss concerning the next and the final of the A'imma al-Arba, which is Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah. So Imam Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah. So as for Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, as for his name, there's Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal. So his name Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Hanbal is Kunya Abu Abdullah. Kunya Abu Abdullah is Shaybani. Is referred to the title that he's given, Imam Ahl-Sunnah. It is stated by Imam Shafi rahimahullah that regarding Ahmad ibn Hanbal, Shafi rahimahullah would consider to be his teacher. قال خرجت من العراق فما تركت رجل أفضل. That when I left Iraq, I did not leave behind a rajul that is more preferred, ولا عالم that is better and more knowledgeable, ولا أروع and also of piety, ولا اتقي من أحمد بن حنبل, anyone of piety except for that of Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So he shows regarding that he praised Ahmad ibn Hanbal regarding all of those qualities, regarding his all those virtues. That so you find that even Yahya ibn Ma'in, one of the Imam of Ahl al-Hadith, that he mentioned كان في أحمد خصال, that Ahmad ibn Hanbal rahimahullah, that he has certain outstanding qualities ما رأيتها في عالم, that I did not see in any alim ever. كان محدثا, that Ahmad rahimahullah was a muhaddith. وكان حافظا, and also a person who memorized. وكان عالما, and also a person that's an alim. وكان ورعا, and also a person of piety. وكان زاهدا, and one who abstained from the dunya. وكان عاقلا, a person of intelligence. So all these things that he mentioned of the qualities that he mentioned, that Ahmad rahimahullah, that he stand out regarding these qualities. Ahmad rahimahullah, that he was born in Medina al-Baghdad. So he was born in the city of Baghdad in the month of Rabi al-Awwal في سنة 64 و100, in the year 164. So 164 al-Hijri, time of his birth or year of his birth. وتوفى, and that his father died when he was only 3 years old. So his father passed away when Ahmad rahimahullah was 3 years old. So he grew up as a yatim, as an orphan. So his mother was responsible for his so he became under his mother's he was with his mother, as she was the one who groomed and looked after her son. So his mother was the one who was responsible for him. Then I mentioned that Ahmed rahimullah, that he died of the time of his death was Yawm al-Jum'ah, ثاني عشر, the 12th of the month of Rabi al-Awwal, في السنة 41 و200, in the year 241. So that the year 241 al-Hijri. And Yawm al-Jum'ah in the month of Rabi al-Awwal, ثاني عشر, as mentioned here. And at that time he was over at 77 years. So that age of around 77 years. So Ahmed rahimullah, regarding concerning that his quest for ilm and whom he studied with, I would say now that's become something, a general pattern that with all the ulama of old and also of present, that we have a chain regarding that they have studied with people. So concerning the ulama of those things that of those things regarding of the sunnah of the ulama is that showing concerning that being able can trace who are the people that they actually studied with. So the mention regarding of those people that he took of knowledge concerning after that he studied with, he mentioned Qadi Abu Yusuf, Sahib Abu Hanifa, or Sahib Abu Hanifa. So concerning Qadi Yusuf, who was a companion of Abu Hanifa, that he studied with him. Then he left, and then was more involved regarding of hadith studies. And also Ahmed rahimullah, that he traveled different places. So he traveled different places. And of those things regarding the ulama of past, that they will travel to different places, location, especially the ulama of hadith. So especially the ulama of hadith, that they'll travel to different locations or different places to seek knowledge from the people of ilm present there. So of those places he mentioned that Ahmed rahimullah have traveled, that he had traveled to Mecca. So he's from Baghdad, Iraq. He traveled to Mecca, to Medina, to Yemen, to Kufa, Basra, Sham. So he traveled some of the main centers of learning. So at that time, Mecca, Medina, Yemen, Kufa, Basra, and Sham. So of the people of the likes concerning of those that he studied with or studied from, that he studied from the likes of Yahya ibn Ma'in, also Ishaq ibn Rahuya, also Ash-Shafi'i, rahimahullah, jami'an. So of those, this is not of the kibar ulama of his time. So some of the ulama, kibar ulama of his time, the likes of Yahya ibn Ma'in, Ishaq ibn Rahuya, and also Ash-Shafi'i. So it took from Imam Shafi rahimahullah ta'ala. So also took from Imam Shafi rahimahullah. And of those things that he studied regarding, that they mentioned, that they mentioned that when Ahmed rahimahullah, that he died, what a thing that is mentioned that they found regarding that as a part of his tarika, as a part of like a thing that he left behind. But upon his death, that he had a risala of Imam Shafi rahimahullah. So of those things that was found of his things that he possessed was a risala of Imam Shafi. So both risala, one of old and the one of new. Because Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he had two risala al-old and the one of new. So when he was in Iraq, he wrote risala, the old, then he also had the new one of Misr. So Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that he kind of somewhat he held great respect towards Imam Ahmed rahimahullah. To the extent that Imam Shafi rahimahullah, that even though he was you would mention being the teacher, he mentioned, Ya Aba Abdillah, Ya Aba Abdillah, Ya Aba Abdillah, in saha, إذا saha عندكم حديث فألمني به أذهب إليه. So what he's saying that Ahmed, if you have authenticate any hadith, then teach me this, or let me be aware of this, so I can accept it and act according to it and take of it. So it shows regarding the ulama regarding hadith, that hadith is authenticated and they accepts it. So that's concerning what is said by regarding Ahmed rahimahullah, that Imam Ahmed rahimahullah, that of those concerned that he was an imam in hadith and also in fiqh. So also Imam Ahmed rahimahullah was an Imam in Hadith and also in Imam in Fiqh. So Fiqh, that and also concerning memorizing concerning of Hadith, knowing concerning Rijal of Hadith, and speak about a Hadith and criticize of concerning that critique of Hadith, then he was known for this. And his books that they capture is the level of his understanding or mastery of Ilmul Hadith. So also that he had memorized many Hadith. He had memorized many Hadith. So it is mentioned by Ibn Jawzi rahimahullah mentioned لقد كان أحمد يذكر الجار والتعديل من حفظه إذا سئل عن that Ahmed كما يقرأ الفاتحة, that he used to memorize concerning men about jar wa ta'dil, able to critique of men, that he could do so from his memory, just as the person had memorized Surah Al-Fatiha. So it was something that became natural part of him, that he was able to look at the narrators and make a distinction with the rules and guidelines of Ahl Hadith, that he had those things with him. Also Ahmed rahimahullah, of those ulama who went through mihna, that went through that their own trials during their time. So Ahmed rahimahullah, of those ulama that went through the trials during their time. So Ahmed rahimahullah, it was in a time of where the matter regarding a matter of aqadiyah that started, where people start to make a false claim that the Quran it is created. So there's a false claim that was made regarding concerning the Quran being created. And with that false claim, that they were kind of somewhat trying to force the people to accept this, and amongst them the ulama. So this claim that was accepted by some quarters of the and then the state adopted that view. Then some of the judges were forcing others to accept that view, and if one did not, then you'll be punished. So a person will be tested regarding to see what's your position regarding the Quran being created or not, and depending on your response, then depending on how you'll be treated. So of those who did not give the answer that was in line what that was that they were looking for, then the person will be treated with harshness. And amongst them Ahmed Hanbal. So amongst them Ahmed rahimahullah, that he refused to fall in line with that regarding that view, so he was punished and imprisoned. And with all this punishment, he still did not change. So with all of this punishment and imprisonment, he still did not change of his view. And they stood his ground regarding taking the position of the Quran, the Sunnah, and not the view that was being forced upon the people, that false view regarding the Quran being created. Then it mentioned regarding concern of those things that so Ahmed rahimahullah, that he faced difficulty during this trial, during the time of the Khilafah of Ma'mun, also Mu'tasim wal Wathiq. So 3 successive leaders that he had to endure concerning what they impose upon the people regarding adopting this false view. Then at some point they mentioned when the Khalifa Mutawakkil that became the leader, then he kind of then he changed the situation. He changed regarding that Ahmed was freed, and that view was somewhat disregarded regarding the Quran being created. So where the Sunnah became triumphant and also was supported by Mutawakkil. And then also under Ahmed Hanbal rahimahullah tabarak ta'ala. So those are trials that Ahmed rahimahullah that he faced regarding a matter regarding al-i'tiqad. So a matter regarding Islamic faith, regarding matter that relates to the belief regarding the Quran, as that was the issue that issue arise then, and he had to endure regarding the trials that came with that situation. The next of those matters discussed concerning Ahmed Hanbal rahimahullah regarding his usul, regarding concerning his matter regarding the type of usul and principle that he followed. So regarding concerning that certain principles and guidelines that he had in place to follow, so as to come to the best conclusion on matter, to come to the best result regarding matters. So of those usul that he applied or followed, that ihtimad ala nas wa adam iltifat ila ma khalifu. So anything that he kind of somewhat owed to the text of Quran, the Sunnah, and anything that goes in contrary, then he didn't give it attention. So he stick to the Quran, to the Sunnah. And as we mentioned that he was an Imam of the Sunnah, so he was able to add immense knowledge regarding the Sunnah, regarding the Sunnah, regarding concerning hadith being authentic or not, not about the wordings, the narrators, authentication of the hadith. So he had all those skills. and qualifications. So Quran was Sunnah, the text was the first thing that was giving precedent over all things and nothing else. Anything that goes in contrary to that, then those things were dismissed. Also, again, the second of those things that he rely upon a lot regarding aqwal al-sahaba. So by way of al-ijma, or by way of aqwal of the so by way of those, and so by way of the aqwal of the sahaba, so of his usul regarding that he took the view of the sahaba. So taking into consideration the view of the aqwal of the sahaba. And he found that if the Sahaba either they agree upon a matter or if they disagree on a matter, so if there's a disagreement between the Sahaba and a matter, then we'll see which of those views of the Sahaba were more closer to the Quran and the Sunnah. So if there's a disagreement amongst the Sahaba, then to see which of those views amongst the Sahaba are more or closer to the Quran, to the Sunnah, more in line with the text, then he would take off that view or incline and accept that view. Then also of his usul regarding concerning hadith. So also Ahmad Hanbal rahimahullah, of those things that he was noted for, with that Ahmad rahimahullah, that he would give precedent to that of hadith al-da'if. So hadith that have slight weaknesses, hadith al-marasil, hadith al-da'if, of that category that are hadith da'if al-yasir, that he would prefer to use hadith which is da'if than that of qiyas. So regarding concerning ara al-rijal, that you prefer to go with a hadith which is da'if over that of the views of an alim. So referred to as qiyas or ar-rahi. So of those things that he did use was ar-rahi, but that is after looking at all to see if those the other sources were available. If they were not available, then as mentioned, that his position that he'll take concerning ar-rahi when there is nothing that remains. So he did take off qiyas with guidelines when there is those other sources there was nothing available regarding other sources. Then he will look to qiyas, in the case of, as with Imam Shafi, in the case of durura, in the case of a need, then they will make use of qiyas. So Imam Ahmad rahimahullah, of his ways of extraction ruling from Quran, wa Sunnah, wal Ijma, wa Qawl Sahaba, wal Qiyas, wa Istishab, wa Masali al Mursala, and also said the Dari'ah. So he used all of these sources and used them accordingly. But Quran wa Sunnah, that will take precedent. Then as for concern the matter of Imam Ahmad rahimahullah regarding it being recorded. So as for the tadween, recording of the madhab of Ahmad rahimahullah, that Ahmad rahimahullah regarding his own private views, that he did not record his own private views. So regarding concerning his own ijtihad, that he did not record of his views, but he did record concerning of the thing that he recorded was hadith. So of those who kind of somewhat, Ahmad rahimahullah, of those who collected a hadith of the Prophet alayhi salam. But as for the views of, as for his own personal views, that those things he himself did not personally record. They mention that also of the books that he have written a book concerning Salah, Risala fi Salah. So that is mentioned that he wrote a Risala fi Salah that discuss concerning some of the matters that relates to as-salat. But as for his fatawa, then those things that he did not record of his own fatawa. So regarding concerning that the works of Ahmad Hanbal, that one of the ulama of the Hanabila, or one of the ulama that call Ahmad ibn Muhammad ibn Harum Abu Bakr Khalal. So I mentioned concerning Khalal, that he came and then he went on to collect the views of Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So he started to collect the views of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, the views of Ahmad ibn Hanbal on various matters. So regarding concerning in his views regarding fiqh related matters, regarding aqidah matters, regarding, so whatever view that Ahmad rahimahullah had, that he would go around collecting. So he went to different places collecting the views of Ahmad Hanbal rahimahullah from his student. So he wrote a book that's called Al-Jami'. So he put a book together that's called Al-Jami', that comes in a voluminous book. A book that comes in many volumes, regarding the views of Ahmad Hanbal, collected by Al-Khalal. Then also you have other works that are said to be of the Masahil Ahmad Hanbal rahimahullah, which is works that relates to of his students who came and they kind of somewhat collected his views. So his son Abdullah, Imam Abu Dawood, and others that collected the views of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah. So those called al-Rasail, Masahil Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So those called Masail Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So there are many. So there are many, or several of the works that relates to are referred to as Masahil Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that they are. So those also capture some of the views of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, rahimahullah. Those also capture the views of Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Then also regarding concerning that, then after you find one of the ulama who came in the 3rd century, which is the year that died 324, which is Abu Qasim Umar ibn Abi Ali al-Hussein Khiraki, referred to as the Khiraki, that you're the first person someone to put a muqtasar of a book regarding of a fiqh book that is muqtasar for the Madhab Ahmad ibn Hanbal. So he wrote a book that is, they call it Mukhtasar al-Khiraki, that kind of somewhat became like of the first book, that first matin regarding the works, the Madhab of Ahmad Hanbal, that is considered to be Mukhtasar. And that book was explained by many. So that book was explained by many, over 300 explanation. So that book, Mukhtasar al-Khiraki, is in print. That's over hundreds of explanations. That the more famous of the explanation is Al-Mughni. Its more famous explanation is the book that is referred to as Al-Mughni. So which is written by Ibn Qudama, rahimahullah, al-Hanbali. So also regarding concern that the mustalahat that is used in the madhab, the mustalahat that is used amongst the Hanabila. So those mustalahat, those terminology that are used amongst the Hanabila, that they refer to concerning that when they use the word al-Qadi, when they use the word Hanabila, use the word al-Qadi, they mean by this Muhammad ibn al-Husayn ibn Muhammad ibn Khalaf ibn Ahmed ibn al-Farra mulaqab bi Abu Yala. So in summary, Abu Yala, al-Qadi Abu Yala, is said to be referred to as al-Qadi. Nam. So Abu Yala is referred to as al-Qadi of the Hanabila. So of those who are instrumental regarding the spread of the madhab later on. Then you have many who have written works regarding that also. They mention regarding concerning that, they use the word concerning that Shaykhan. So with them concerning Shaykhan amongst the Hanabila, that who they intend regarding Al-Muwaffaq wa Majd ibn Abdul Salam ibn Taymiyyah. So the word concerning Shaykhan amongst the Hanabila, who they intend by this is Al-Muwaffaq. Al-Muwaffaq, who is Ibn Qudama. So Muwaffaq ad-Din ibn Qudama. That so Al-Muwaffaq and also Majd ad-Din Abdul Salam ibn Taymiyyah, who is the grandfather of Ibn Taymiyyah. Those two are said to be Shaykhan. And also when I mention the word Al-Shaykh, that at times concerning Al-Shaykh could mean, with some of them it could mean Al-Muwaffaq. And at times some may mean by Al-Shaykh Ibn Taymiyyah. So different, and also so you have different they refer to as concerning At-Taqi whenever amongst the Anabila, when they use the word Shaykh al-Islam, they mean Ibn Taymiyyah. So amongst the Anabila Mutaakhirin, the ones who have latter times, when they use the word Shaykh al-Islam, that they mean Ibn Taymiyyah, who is Ahmed Ibn Abdul Halim Ibn Taymiyyah. Ahmed Ibn Abdul Halim Ibn Taymiyyah. And also at times also refer to Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah as Taqi ad-Din. Also Taqi ad-Din. So Shaykh al-Islam or Taqi ad-Din is in reference to Ibn Taymiyyah. And when they use the word al-Fatawa, they mean concerning Fatawa, Ibn Taymiyyah. When the word we use Fatawa, in most part that they mean of the they mean Fatawa Ibn Taymiyyah. Also regarding concerning that, as for like renowned works amongst the Hanabila, that books that are considered to be main works amongst the Hanabila, we have one, Al-Mughni Ibn Qudama. So work Al-Mughni Ibn Qudama, that's the explanation of the work of Al-Khiraki. So Al-Khiraki, his work is explained by Ibn Qudama. Also another work amongst them, that's the work concerning Kashaf al-Qina'. Kashaf al-Qina' was the explanation of Al-Iqna' by Al-Buhuti. So by Buhuti, So this work, Al-Kashaf al-Qina, also goes in many volumes that also explain in depth regarding the matter of the Hanabila. And that book of Kashf al-Qina, that book also is the book that is taught by the judges in Saudi. So in the country Saudi Arabia, that the judges, that the book that they studied, that as their study material, that they studied the book Kashf al-Qina regarding the study preparing the judges. Also another more famous book in the method of the Hanabila, Al-Kafi fi Fiqh Ahmed li Ibn Qudama. So Ibn Qudama rahimahullah have many books for beginners, intermediary, advanced, and also the highest level. He has books on various levels. So another of his work is Al-Kafi fi Fiqh Ahmed by Ibn Qudama. Also the more famous book regarding, if you want to know the method of the book of Insaf, if the person wants to know the views of the Hanabila. So there's a difference. If you want to know the views of the Hanabila, then a book that is called Al-Insaf في معرفة الراجع من الخلاف للمروردي لمرداوي. Then you have other books that are famous amongst them. So you have other books, a famous book also, Al-Mubda' في شر المقنع. So Al-Mubda' شر المقنع. And of the more famous contemporaries that have generally spread amongst them are teach concerning the book concerning that is said to be Rawda al-Murba'. So Rawd al-Murba'. So Rawd al-Murba' is of the books that are considered to be a book that is like a book that is used regarding teaching the masajid. Then this is more of the popular books that are taught in the masajid by Buhuti. So Buhuti book, Rawd al-Murba' is of their renowned books, and many other books, and many other books that are known amongst the Hanabila. So as for intishar, the matter of Ahmed rahimahullah, so as for the places that this book of that's this matter of spread, that it's of amongst the matter concerning the least spread amongst the madhahib. So amongst the madhahib al-arba is the least spread amongst the madhahib al-arba. So that is more now popular in the area concerning al-Hijaz. So in the area concerning al-Najd, which is in Saudi Arabia, and the region, and Saudi Arabia is a country, that the official madhab of that country is Hanbali. And also it is in the Khalij state, also popular amongst the taught in the surrounding state of the Khalij countries. Also it is popular, it is widespread amongst in that area. So it is more concentrated in those areas regarding Saudi Arabia, and also taught in some of the more Khalij states. So I consider the matter of Ahmad Hanbal rahimahullah tabarak wa ta'ala, that so that's concerning the four madhahib that we have mentioned regarding madhab of Imam Abu Hanifa, the madhab of Imam al-Malik, madhab of Imam al-Shafi, and also Ahmad Hanbal. So these are the four that still remain with us today intact. There's a fourth one which is still remain to some degree, not by way of its books, or some of his books are still intact, which is the matter of the Zahiriyah. So the matter of the Zahiriyah, and that matter somewhat have been given some type of that was somewhat recorded by Ibn Hazm. So you find Ibn Hazm al-Andalusi that kind of somewhat he preserved that method by writing some books regarding his several books, or regarding that method that still are present today. So still are present today. And we had mentioned something regarding concerning the matter of the Zahiriyah of those before. So that's concerning those matters that relates to Madhahib al-Arba. So the general position regarding the ulama, and we discuss concerning the next thing. So we discuss those are the madhahib. I would say that the madhahib that studying a madhab, the ulama that is something which is jahiz, with a condition that the person is not muta'assib, that a person doesn't per se see that he's not muta'assib, he has a fanatic views, overzealous view regarding the madhab, that he sees that everything in the madhab is correct. Then that's not the approach and the view, and that's not the approach that one should take regarding the madhab. But the madhab, that there are things, most part, that it's still that in most part what they're saying is sound, but you have certain views in the madhahib that still need to be reviewed. So you have views in the madhahib that still need to be reviewed. So that's concerning the study of so that's concerning the approach concerning the madhab. So the person regarding that they are all held in respect, and the efforts of the ulama are all mujtahidun, that made a ijtihad based upon those masahil that is somewhat open for ijtihad, and they each come to their own conclusion based upon the usul that they followed. So the ulama still recognize those and can somewhat also still review their ijtihad to see concerning which of those are maybe, if there's a difference between them, which of them is more appropriate and which of them is more correct to be followed, but without also the person attacking any of those ai'. So without per se attacking, and also it is also the person who may wish not to follow a specific madhab, then also that is also that's something that can be considered. So a person also not following a particular madhab, it is something which is open for consideration of the ulama who did not follow a particular madhab, and some who kind of somewhat studied a particular madhab. So regarding that, the person, yes, is not obliged that he must follow a particular madhab, but for the person to benefit from all the madhahib, it is something which is open and should be done, and all the madhahib should be respected, and the person, we can make that comparison, then also this is also opened for the person to open, but not to approach the madhahib or a particular madhab as seeing that this is the only one, and if a person not attached to a particular madhab, then they are not upon Islam, then this is going over the top. Then this is going over the top. That's concerning those madhahib al-arba. So you find that in Dawat al-Salafiyah and the Mashaykh of Dawat al-Salafiyah, that all of them did at some point study a madhab. So those Mashaykh of contemporary who are said to be the Mashaykh that people look to as being of a voice that represents Salafiyah, each of those by that have gone to studying a madhab. So if we compare concerning that the likes of Sheikh Albani studied the madhab of the Ahnaf, his father was a Hanafi and he was in that environment. So the books of the Ahnaf. Also Sheikh bin Baz, in his area, the region that he studied the matter of the Hanabila. Also Ibn Uthaymeen, the Hanabila. So of the ulama, so that's something that still remain where concerning studying of concerning madhahib, that those are also Dawat al-Salafiyah and the principle of the Dawat al-Salafiyah, that they still acknowledge and recognize the value of the works of the A'immat al-Arba, starting with each of the those imam, recognize their efforts, and that they were all A'immatul Mujtahidun that made their judgment, and we know at times that they may be correct and they may be incorrect, and that their intention was always trying to seek the haqq, but based upon their principles and based upon the evidence that they use, that they may sometimes come to a different conclusion, but each is still respected, but each is held with high esteem, and none of them is to be attacked, and also that concern their method that came after them. Then for the person also to at times to review what had been mentioned, and also for the person to look to see what's the evidence that have been mentioned regarding how they come to those conclusions, and whatever evidence is in line, then the person should follow the evidence of what is mentioned. So that's concerning those matters regarding the madhahib al-arba. So in a nutshell, Dawat al-Salafiyah does acknowledge and recognize the madhahib al-arba, and not an enemy to madhahib al-arba, as the Mashaykh of Dawat al-Salafiyah is not against concerning studying of madhab, but what they are against is concerning a person having his concerning partisanship towards a madhab, or complete blind following where they see everything within that madhab as being the haqq, and anything outside that, then it is something else, and that they treat others who are not maybe might study their madhab as being treated indifferently, then all those things are unacceptable. And those are the things that the Mashaykh of Salafiyah that they have warned against regarding ta'assub, a person being being fanatic towards a madhab, then that is unacceptable. So that's concerning the matter regarding this matter. With that, inshallah ta'ala, in the next session, we'll be discussing concerning what were the events that occur after the imma, regarding concerning what occurs after the imma. So with that, inshallah ta'ala, will end. وبالله تعالى توفيق وهذا إلى السبيل والآخر دعوانا الحمد لله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.